I am joined at this particular moment by the Union Power Minister, leader from Bihar, Mr. R.K. Singh joins me at this moment. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Singh. Our snap polls done in the aftermath of what Nitish Kumar has done to you. The general sentiment seems to be he and the Mahagathbandhan would have an advantage electorally if Lok Sabha polls were held today. The sheer size of their alliance, do you concede, poses a huge challenge to the BJP now?
I don't agree, Rajiv. You know, basically what we found to our cost during the last assembly election was that there was a huge anti-incumbency against Nitish, and that weighed us down. We gave him more than 100 seats. I think we gave him 115 seats. He won only 40. And, you know, that
45.
also was because of our votes. Out of 100 odd seats which we contested, we won 77 against the RJD. He was actually a bit of a burden, a millstone around our neck, and we had to carry him. You know, before the election, many of us, many leaders from Bihar had, advised the central leadership against getting into an alliance with him because of the anti-incumbency. Rajiv, you would have seen images of the anti-incumbency when he was campaigning around the state for the assembly election. You know, the catcalls, the hoots, etc. And you know, his position is this, that if he contests alone, if the JDU contests alone, I can, wager any bet that the JDU will not get more than 10 seats.
But sir, you know, you're saying that, but I can only go by past elections. 2019 parliamentary elections, the BJP swept the elections, you won 39 out of 40. 2015 assembly elections, Nitish Kumar and Lalu Prasad came together and had a huge victory. Do you fear what happened in 2015 could happen in Bihar in 2024 and 2025? And therefore, the BJP's possibilities of sweeping the state, a large state like Bihar, are now in serious jeopardy? Do you agree to that or not?
I won't, Rajiv. You know, the elections for the parliament and the election for the assembly, number one, are decided on two different parameters by the voters. When the voters vote for the parliamentary elections, they look at who the prime ministerial candidate is. They look at which is the government, which is the party which is going to form the government. So they choose at the national level the party and the leader. And in that, I can tell you, and Rajdeep, we can discuss this again in 2024, just after elections. My sort of assessment is that we shall win all 40. If we contest alone. We gave, I think, more than half the seats to Nitish Kumar during the parliamentary elections. Whatever he won was again because of our vote. Otherwise, when he contested, you see, the point is, the basic fundamental fact is that he doesn't have the votes. If he contests alone, he won't get even 2 seats in parliament. He'll get 1, that is all, in Nalanda. That's a challenge.
You know, okay, some would say, of course, 40 out of 40 seems virtually impossible now for the BJP, but who knows? What our poll, though, is showing, Mr. Singh, is as of today, if elections are held, the Mahagathbandhan would win 26 out of 40, you would win 14. That would be a huge gain for the opposition, a huge loss for you. Do you at least concede that Bihar is a big challenge for the BJP? What might have been seen as a cakewalk now will be a huge challenge given this broad alliance that has been forged against you? Do you concede that Nitish leaving you is a setback or not?
No, Rajdeep. Again, I'll repeat myself. Nitish was a burden. You see, there was a huge anti-incumbency against him. Whatever seats he won because of our votes, both in the parliament as well as in the assembly. Now, freed of the burden, I think we'll do much better. We'll win. My target, I think that we'll win at all the 40 as far as parliament is concerned. He was a burden. Now the burden has shifted to RJD, and this will bring them down. He will have to give him. You see, the thing is that how many seats will Nitish Kumar be content with? If he asks for 50% and Tejashwi gives him 50%, then that means Tejashwi has lost those 50% of those seats. We'll win those 50%. That's the point. You see, basically the burden has shifted, and my best wishes to Tejashwi.
No, but how are you going to compete? How is the BJP going to take on this white caste combination? What is the strategy? Where does this optimism come from that you'll win all 40, given the fact that if Yadavs, Muslim, Kurmis, extremely backward castes are all coming together on one platform? What is the strategy that the BJP now has?
Rajdeep, just look at the neighboring state. Look at Uttar Pradesh. Look at what happened to the Samajwadi Party in Mahagathbandhan. You see, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way because, you know, as far as the chemistry is concerned, as far as the extremely backward castes are concerned, if they have an allergy against anybody, it is against the Yadavs. The Yadavs have been oppressors in the rural areas. I don't know whether you have any acquaintance with people living in the villages in the Bihar or Uttar Pradesh. So there is an allergy. Now, if Nitish has gone with the Yadavs, that is the RJD, then he's lost his EBC votes. He's in fact also lost much of the SC/ST vote because the Yadavs have been seen as oppressors. They have behaved like oppressors right from the times of the RJD. You see, when the RJD was in power, all licensed would go to Yadavs. You know, every police station would be manned by Yadavs. If some Yadav took control of your land, then you went to the police station, they would not lodge a complaint. That apprehension is still there. People have not forgotten that, and the character of RJD has not changed. So it is one, whatever Nitish had left, that is 4 or 5% of the vote, even that is going to go away from him. And Nitish himself has a huge anti-incumbency.
One final question. You've known Nitish Kumar very well, Mr. Singh. Do you see him as the big challenger to Mr. Modi in 2024 or not? Honest answer.
That is laughable, Rajdeep, risible as they say in English. That is laughable. You know, this is a gentleman whose party is the third in Bihar. He's the third biggest in Bihar, not even the biggest. And his total vote size would be 4 or 5%. He doesn't have any presence outside of Bihar anywhere. So for somebody who is third in one state without any presence in any state, to harbor dreams of becoming a prime minister is actually laughable. So that's how I look at it. I mean, it's absolutely laughable. And that's the blunder he has made. You know, he has deluded himself, not himself. And he's been egged on by his cohorts, by his samchas who gather around him and tell him that he's prime minister material. So he's got into a delusion. Do you think that Mamta will stand aside? Mamta leads a government and she has a majority there by herself in Bengal. Do you think she will stand aside for Nitish Kumar to be a leader? Do you think that Sharad Pawar will stand aside? Do you think that KCR will stand aside? They all have leadership ambitions. They all have prime minister ambitions. The point is that even if that the fact that somebody can even think of a party with just 40-45 seats in an assembly of 250, the leader having a prime ministerial ambition is itself ridiculous and just shows that the opposition has no leadership whatsoever.
Well, R.K. Singh, you've given us the BJP perspective. You're very optimistic despite the Mahagathbandhan. I appreciate you joining us and speaking to us. Thank you very much.